Traditionally, there were a handful of command line tools that we used to analyze logs directly on servers by SSHing into them. But now, with increasing containerization and complication of our cloud native infrastructures, this is not really possible anymore. This is why Parseable has released PB, a command line interface that lets you query logs on your Parseable instance. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to use it in combination with JQ, a popular JSON manipulation tool, to take those results, format them as JSON, do some filtering, some formatting, and some aggregation functions for all sorts of interesting use cases. Let's get started. This is the repository for Parseble's PB tool. You can find how to install it here. Basically, you just need to download a release, put it in your path. And I have that here. There we go. Also, make sure you have JQ installed. It's a pretty common tool, so you probably do already. But if not, head on over to JQ's website to find out how to do that. The PB tool works with profiles. You can add a profile like this. So this is me adding a local instance. But by default, if you don't add one, there is always a connection to the demo instance here, which is what I'm going to use for the rest of this video because it has a lot of pre-existing information and data and log streams that we can use. So let's begin with something simple. Firstly, I'm just going to change this to a day so we have a lot more data. This selects from the backend. This selects from the backend log stream. You can see here. There we go. And it just returns everything for the past day. This is going to be a lot of information, but I kind of want to show you something dramatic to begin with. It will take a moment as well because there's a lot there. There we go. I mean, that's great. That's not very usable, is it? I can't tell what any of this is. It looks like I'm in the Matrix, something like that. I can just hit Control-C. There's a lot there. I mean, parsing this is pretty challenging. Just very quickly, you can also tail any log stream by using the tail command with the log stream. There's actually nothing coming into this log stream at the moment, so you won't really see anything, but you get the idea. So this is where JQ comes in handy. We use a Linux pipe to pipe the output of this into this, and the quotes with the dot just means take that input. And by default, it's just going to format it. Again, I will put this to 1 day. Select everything. It'll take a little bit of time. It'll still be quite a lot, but it will be more readable, more formatted in JSON, pretty format with colors and highlights and indentations, etc., etc. There we go. But that's still an awful lot of information, even though it is more readable. I'll just hit Control-C again. There we go. Much more readable, but still a lot. So let's use a JQ. This basically takes the input and slices the array between rows 10 and 20. So we're just going to get 10 rows. There we go. JQ has a lot of operators and functions you can use, including map functions. So what I'm going to do here is just select a couple of columns this time from the back end where the status is equal to 500. But I want to then filter using JQ and a map to select only those where the method column is equal to patch. So this still will process a lot of data, but will return less. There we go. And we can also use a good old-fashioned regular expression. So in this case, I take just the timestamp, which you can see here, and using regular expression, split it with the T into 2 capture groups and create a new JSON array, a date and time. So I split that timestamp field into 2 new fields in an array. So this is sort of helpful to a degree. I can start to do some manipulation, but in this particular case, I probably want to save it somewhere. So you can now use output redirection to output that to a dates.json file instead. And just to prove it, let's do, there we go. It's inside the file. Okay. So that's getting started with some of the basics. Now let's look at something more practical. I'm going to this time use the Ingress Nginx log stream here, which contains a bunch of Ingress log messages. And because we kind of have an idea of what the log messages will be, we'll do some reporting, some analysis, some manipulation of those. So let's start with a basic one. With this query, I'm just going to expand out the window so we get a bit more information. We're just basically using the PB SQL query for all status messages higher than a value of 400 and then sending them to JQ. So it's just pretty much formatting. There we go. There's still a lot of information there. Let's try something different. Again, I'm just going to broaden out that data window. So status as count, where again, everything is higher than 400, group by it, and then we process it. So this is kind of giving us a JSON output of some analysis through a query. Why might you want to do this? Well, a lot of tools want JSON output. They don't want SQL output. So we could send this through redirection or something else to another service pretty much. So we can see a summary of the status messages and a count. Here's an interesting one. In this particular time, we take the request time, change it to a float, and anything that is greater than 1, we want to process with JQ. And we actually put all of the fields that we want into new fields in a new JSON array. So again, kind of data processing to maybe send to an external service. And there we go. The same data, but in a different format. So this one, we take the average time from the request time, group it by the request ordered by the average time, and then reformat those results as the request and the average time. So we get the top 10 requests and the average amount of time they consume. There we go. So now we can see the guilty endpoint. One more. There's actually a lot more in the accompanying blog post for this video. So in this particular case, we get just the hour of the timestamp and then the count. And in the past day, we want to have the time and then the request count. So we can see that if we ordered it by request instead of time, for example, but we can see that actually it's pretty busy most of the time, apart from around lunchtime, I guess we could say. In this video, I looked at using Parseble's PB command line tool to query logstream data and then use JQ to format, to filter, and to analyze it. And these two tools combined with piping and redirection give you so many different ways to work with your logs. The possibilities are almost endlessly. Find out more at Parseable.com.